Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debut episode of Intelligence Chek. I realize that everything's spelled wrong and there's a reason for that. My name is Grim. Welcome to this podcast. I'm joined by my good friend, Con. What's up, dude?
Hello.
So, he and I, we've been, we've been playing D&D for a hot minute. And it's come to our attention that more and more people are interested in playing D&D, and we would love nothing more for more people to be part of this hobby of ours, right? Honestly,
Yeah,
and
of
I mean,
course.
yeah, and D&D seems to have this really bad stigma, but anyway, whatever. The point is, let's introduce ourselves properly. So, like I said, my name is Grim. I've been playing D&D for nearly 2 years now. I am currently in 3 campaigns. Three, three? Yeah, 3. One that Con is the DM for, one which I am a DM for, and one which is a friend of mine. He's been running this D&D session for his campaign running for a year, and I've been through a plethora of different characters, and I've been reading a lot of books. What about you, Con?
Reading a lot of books. Right.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to D&D, I've been playing for over a year now. Wow. I'm just now that I think of it, freaking hell, we've been like 2 years locked up at home, man.
Mm.
But so actually more than that, I will, yeah, definitely over a year, at least a year and a half or so. But like, I think a hot minute would describe it better, as Paul said. And I am part of, let's see, the campaign that I run, of course, Descent into Avernus, which Paul is a player as well. That's one. I'm the DM of that campaign. And then I'm a player in Paul's campaign, Storm King's Thunder. And then our friend Adi, he runs 2 campaigns that are homebrewed by him. So I'm part of those 2 as well. So yeah, dipping my toes in some D&D.
Yeah, I mean, both of us. Like, I still remember. So I started playing that game with my other DM, and his campaign is also a homebrew, and it's because of him that I was inspired to be a DM. In fact, Conrad, and in fact, between Conrad, Shreyas, and Priscilla, the other 2 are also within our other games as well. They were my guinea pigs as my first DM. Like, they were my
Yeah.
first players ever, and I really enjoyed running that game for them. And it was a challenge, like, keeping track of rules and explain to them how the game works. Because at that point, I think I was like 3 months into my first ever proper campaign. So, but then, like, I had all the books. I was doing stupid amounts of reading just to understand how to run a game and how to help people understand how to play the game. And like I said, so Conrad, Shreyas, and Priscilla were my guinea pigs for me to learn how to do this. It was after that point, so they, so we, in the middle of this beginner campaign, the 3 of them ended up at, which was, for lack of a better term, yeah, it was the final
You
dungeon.
gotta let that go.
I'm not gonna let that go. It was too funny. This is the final dungeon that they're coming to. Okay. So what ended up, the reason why this became to a stalemate at the ending, because they ran into a bunch of monsters who they couldn't hit properly. But I was rolling so badly, the monsters couldn't hit them either. So it was an absolute slap fight, that fight took nearly 2 hours, and we still didn't finish the fight because we just couldn't hit each other. But then it was at that point I picked up the Curse of Strahd campaign, because, like, I see, for me, I don't have the creativity or the knowledge or the brain space to do a homebrew campaign. And those who make homebrew campaigns, fucking, that's amazing. Respect to you guys. I can't do it, at least not yet anyway. So I picked up Curse of Strahd, and that was my first long campaign, and that was stupid fun to DM. I think Conrad lost 4 characters in that campaign.
I lost 3.
3 characters in
I
that
lost
campaign.
3.
Yeah. Woof. I mean, it's so much fun. It's insane. I mean, what do you think, dude? Like, honestly.
Yeah, like totally agree. It's way too much fun for people to miss out on. Like, I honestly feel uh Dungeons and Dragons, like, just the basic premise of this sort of tabletop, like this format of tabletop gaming, role play gaming, is something I feel that is actually open to everyone. Like, everyone will actually find some version of D&D or this form of tabletop role playing to play and get into. Like, I honestly think it's just like that olden day stigma coming from, like, the 70s, 80s, 90s. That whole thing about Dungeons and Dragons is just like a geeky thing. You're going to try and play it, you're not going to understand it. I mean, that's the case with any damn thing, dude. Like, come on, like, if you play Monopoly, okay, like there's so much of mechanic in that game. There's so many things you have to keep track of, right? Like, if you own, say, if you're good at Monopoly, you own multiple houses, you're keeping track of rent and stuff, but there is strategy to that. At one point you learn, oh, these colored places are actually worth investing in. Early game, let people spend their money, right? You start building, you start thinking of it the same way it is with Dungeons and Dragons. And it's just that there's a lot of mechanic. That's the only thing about it. That seems to be the overwhelming part, whereas, like, whoa, there's like a world of mechanics, like, that you can go through. But I think people should not be scared to approach it. Because I think the moment people feel like, just approach it with an open mind, just like, say you're at a convention center, let's just say it like randomly, you're at a convention center and there's one segment where it's dealing with board games, and there are a bunch of people running a Dungeons and Dragons game, and they seem to be like, looking for people, like, just to randomly join their table and run this game. Do it. Like, just go to that table, ask whoever the DM is, like, hey, do you mind if I join? And trust me, like, I would say 99% of the time, he's going to say, yeah, of course, sure. Like, even if the slots are filled up, I'm sure if he finds someone who's actually interested in approaching them, like, with just plain curiosity, that DM would be ready and be like, please, have a seat. Come join our little world, Or unless you're, like, a stuck-up person, then you're naturally a bad DM. Like, I think, like, like, DMs can't be good DMs, or like, like fun DMs if they are not approachable themselves. Like, they also need to be approachable. But my point is that people should actually, like, stop thinking that it's this, oh no, you need to be nerd level at least 80 out of 100 to get into it. No.
I mean, I think a lot of flack comes down to the whole roleplay aspect of the whole thing. Because, see, let's be clear. D&D is a very social game.
Very, very, very.
Super social. So, for example, like the homebrew campaign that I joined, I don't know any of those people when I first joined the game. There are 5 of us. And these are people I've never met before. And the only reason we even got together was because I joined a beginner's game. Because I wanted to get, refreshed. Like, I didn't know 5th edition, which is what we are currently playing for D&D. It's in 5th edition right now. I played 4th edition, like, I don't know, 6 years ago. And I had fun. But that didn't go anywhere, and then the game just teetered off and nothing happened. Then, about 2 years back, there was I was using Roll20 at the time. And they have posts, you can say, looking for a game, or looking for a DM, or whatever, And there was this dude who's like, yeah, listen, I'm running a game. Do you want to join? I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's do this. So I joined and we played for a bit. And this is where I met my current players right now, actually, in the new homebrew campaign. What ended up happening was halfway through, I think session number 3, I think, the DM didn't show up. He just did not show up. So for the next 3 hours, all of us players are waiting for the guy to show up. But we're sitting there and we're just chatting. And one of the players goes, yo, guys, I've got a world, I've got a game, I'm willing to run. Do you guys want to be part of it? We're like, yeah, cool, let's jump in. But then, like, initially all of us, like, several members of that group have social anxiety. They're not very social people. They don't know how to. They're not very good at the whole talking part of the situation, right? And because and D&D, you're role playing a character. You're not playing yourself. You're playing a character, right? So for them, it was very difficult for them to go. Trying to keep character and trying to converse and whatever. But as we kept playing, as time went on, they got better and better and better, and they just role playing naturally now. They know how they want to do it. They're just like, oh, look at this, darling. It looks absolutely fantastic. Full on accents. It's so good.
It's
so
amazing,
cool to watch.
right? It's because they let it happen. They didn't sit there with that thing playing in the back of their, oh, I'm never gonna get this. No, they just let it happen. Just kept playing. Just like you said, that's a very good point to make also. Like D&D has a lot of social interact. It's all social interaction. Like whether if it's people you know or people you don't know, whether if it's like a really brand new table to you or just a group that you've played games with before, no matter what, you still are interacting with people. You are being social with people, and I really see for example, Prissy. You remember when she started playing D&D, how quiet she used to be?
Oh yeah.
Like you would hardly hear her or her character say anything. Prissy now, a year later.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a fucking player, right?
Yeah,
like
insane.
She thinks of insane things. She role plays so well. She gets into character. And again, she's not she's not developed acting skills or something. She's learned to role play. That's all.
Yeah. I mean,
there's
again,
a difference in that also. She's learned to adapt to just take on a different character and be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is
game also.
Exactly. The idea also is to drop your inhibitions, man. It's a game about imagination.
Yeah.
It's all in your head, so you can be whatever you want to be. Yeah. You want to be that dark, edgy character, go for it. You want to be the sweet airhead also, you can do that. But at the end of the day, the thing is, like, the reason why we say roleplay is a huge part of D&D. It's because it's fun.
It's fun.
It's super fun. Like even Con, when we started playing, he was like, I'm going to do it like this. Now, all his characters are unique in the way they behave, in the way they speak, in the way they do things. I still remember, what was it? We were playing... For example, Con had 3 characters who died in my campaign, right? But each of those characters were unique in their own kind of way because Con brought them to life. He could have played them straight-laced. I mean, like I'm saying, in my games, roleplay is not a must-have. If you just want to communicate as normal and talk normally, we can just use our imagination and go, okay, you're saying this with flair, or you're trying to be nice.
That is roleplay. That is roleplay again. Like, as long as you're, sorry to, butt in there. I didn't mean to butt into your point. I just wanted to say one thing to add to it in the sense that, again, roleplay doesn't mean, hey, you need to change your voice. No. Another example of a role player we played with, the King of Chaos in our group, Shiv, he can't do voices. Shiv will straight up, one day, in fact, recently we were talking just after one of the, I think it was after Sands, and Shiv was talking, he's like, yeah, I can't do voices, but I love role playing. He's like, I get into the character regardless. He's like, I don't change my voice. I don't need to change my voice to role play, right? And I was like, exactly. That's such a good point. So, people shouldn't have that other stigma that role play game means, oh, if you're a seductive character, you need to get a seductive. No, talk your normal self, but be in character. Think the way your character would think. Do something you feel your character. You personally, maybe your personal morals, leave that out before you get to the table. Be in character that way. No one's saying, take good, maybe look up some YouTube voices, man. Fucking learn some voices from YouTube. No,
I'm sure.
Be yourself, but when you get into character, make yourself translate what the character is saying. Essentially,
and also
it should be that.
And also, when you growing up, you're watching cartoons, man. Each of those cartoons have so many different voices and different inspirations and ideas.
It's
like
easy. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
easy
it's
to
just-
take them.
yeah,
So easy.
just have
Then
fun
we
with
have
it,
a
man.
message from Adi speaking of one of the
Yeah.
devil.
And while they're all different, they all imbibe a different aspect of chaos. That's good old Shiv. This is true. Shiv is an agent of chaos. But
Yeah.
each of his characters are unique in every
Unique.
single way.
Unique. And again, he never takes on different voices. He talks like Shiv.
Hmm.
It's like it comes out like from Shiv's voice, but you know it's that character.
Yeah.
You can tell because he role plays, man. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to change his voice to like make you know that it's his character and not Shiv. You know the immediate change.
Yeah. I'm saying like
Yeah.
Shiv, for Shiv, English is not his first language.
Yeah.
So despite
imagine,
that,
yeah,
he does such a great job of his characters. All of his characters are, I mean, let's be clear, all of them are fucking chaotic.
Oh, he's king of chaos in
He's-
like
oh.
in our D&D circle. I know
Oh my
he's a king of
god,
chaos.
he is so
I'm
chaotic.
hoping to match up with him soon. I think that
Oh, the dude is terrifying, man. He's so scary.
he's
and
terrifying.
his brain is, I would love to pick his
he's
brain and ideas.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's fucking smart.
Super smart. Absolutely. It's scary how intelligent he is.
See, that also goes into a nice way into building your character as well. Like there are so many things, like so many aspects of yourself you can throw and create characters out of them. Like if you have a really cranky side to yourself and you want to vent it out, fucking make a character.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
best release you would have in D&D is like that. Like for me, Luna was actually very personal that way because she is my like kind of little fucked up side for me. So it was a very therapeutic thing for me to play Luna most of the time because every crazy idea I would think she would think, and it was amazing. Like I got to play like a crazy side of myself in a female form in a weird like race and like play to do it.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
and that's the best thing. You don't have to play your gender.
Nope, you don't.
And the thing is like, okay, I don't know if this will offend you or not, Con, but up until now, with every character that Conrad has made, Luna has been my favorite.
Oh, she's my personal favorite as well. I can't find that same thing with any. Like, Zerja is coming to a close second for me. Actually, Murren is coming to a close second for me. He's actually built a lot now. His character has built a lot. So he's actually getting close up there with Luna. I would actually put him and Luna personally for me in the same spot.
Okay.
Like, quite a few times I've thought of retiring, like, Murren for a bit and playing something else. But when I came to it, I'm like, no, I can't retire this guy. And like, we've built so much into the world. Like, I've built with him now. I kind of can't, like, I've built, like, okay, Murren's like become solid for me now. But as you would say, compared to the other ones, yeah, like, I don't think anything comes close to Luna.
Yeah, no.
Personally.
Because I still remember. So when we first played Curse of Strahd, Con made a Warforged Blood Hunter of the Lycanthrope order. Okay. And so when the untimely demise of Celebrant, who's the name of the Warforged, when he died to a bunch of vampires. So Con and I sat down and because we had a couple of ideas for Celebrant, but nothing really manifested. But Luna, that is a character me and Conrad spent 2 weeks fleshing out?
Yeah. Just ideas back and forth.
And
Like, I give Paul like the wackiest of ideas I want to come up, like, for her. I kind of, like I said, I channeled my crazy into that character.
it
From
was
beginning to end.
and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like so her backstory basically was she used to work at a mage college. And she had a lover, of course. They both found a scroll of plane shift. They didn't know what they had. They tried to use it. And what ended up happening was it transported them to the land of Barovia, which is where Curse of Strahd is set. However, through the plane shift, Luna lost her mind. And her lover was turned into... Actually, no, lover disappeared. But as far as she's concerned, she has a club with her, and that is her lover named George. and she's been living as a hermit, stuck in the wild somewhere,
Yeah.
and trying to just survive until she meets the party later on. And we had so many plans for Luna, in terms of what's going to be her end game, what's going to happen once you guys escape from Barovia or do whatever, what's it going to be. We had all these grand plans, but then, of course, the dice kind of did not work in Conrad's favor. The dice really fucked Con, and unfortunately, Luna died. And that was a character I was so looking forward to fleshing out and getting more information about. Like I even had her, be in like somehow tied to the main plot line of the story. It was so good. And the thing is, like, again, Celebrin was
She knew some things that would be revealed to her.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, Celebrin wasn't a bad character, but again, Khan wasn't very comfortable in the character.
That was my second D&D.
Yeah, your second character.
No, second would be this chap from Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. What's his name? Damn, I'm forgetting his name.
I also forgot his name. Yeah.
The Tiefling Bard. Damn. But yeah, he was also just like a quickly made just for that.
Yeah.
But Celebrin was the second proper character I ever sat with, and that also is just fresh into D&D, like, not knowing how to properly do it. But even Celebrin, if he hadn't died, I feel like he would have developed well. He had a good base. I made sure like the foundations for my character's stories, at least that I have going. Because that's also a nice way to keep your character backstory going as well. It's not necessary if you don't want to get into a backstory that you feel, hey, I don't want to flesh out too much. It's a nice thing to have a good base at least.
Yeah, because like I'm of the school of don't front load your backstory.
Yeah.
But that's me personally, because what ends up happening is if you front load a backstory, you are stuck with that backstory. Like everything you do will be informed by that backstory. I'd rather give my DM, I'm like, this is basically who he or she or they are. And I'd like to see what happens as we play. Because as you play through the game, as things happen to your character or to your party, new stories develop.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Like how you get pulled into suddenly these world-ending situations, or a seemingly unimportant quest becomes suddenly the crux of the entire thing you're stuck in. And the thing is, like for me, this is for me personally. I'm like, if you're going to be a backstory, give me something basic. Because like I said, I run modules. And modules give you a very limited scope of the wider world. It's basically defined. I wouldn't say it's on rails per se, but there is a certain degree of narrative that you're following. So, if player characters want to create this elaborate backstory, it's a lot of work for someone like me who's just running modules to integrate that into the grand scheme of the narrative. But if it's something like a homebrew campaign, then it's super easy. The DM can just go, I made your family be in this city that I created. They are there or whatever. And okay, so again, this it's not a pet. Is it a pet peeve? Or maybe it's a pet peeve. New player energy.
I mean, you can't.
Yeah. I know.
It exists because it exists.
I know. No,
right?
it's
situation. Like all of us had new player energy. So
100%.
Everyone has to go through it. It's your popping cherry, popping your D&D cherry essentially.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's just the fact that like when someone says my parents are dead, I'm like, man, come on.
That's going to be like, I think that's like 100% of every new place. It's either parents died or some trauma happened to you as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with a tragic backstory. Don't get me wrong. A tragic backstory can be very interesting, and it also defines who your character is going to be. Are you going to be dark and brooding? Are you going to be depressed? Are you looking hopefully to the future to hopefully find a new family within the group that you have? Sure, that's all
Yeah.
great. But it's when people come up with some weird stuff is when I'm like, okay, this could be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's like for what I've done with Von Grimm also, it's a tragic, like it's the if you see the basis of his story, it's generic tragic. Okay? Wife killed because a reader because of a big a person, a well-known figure in high society in his town, rather in his little city, doesn't like his form of fantasy writing, instead like decides to burn his house with his wife in it, right? And instead turns this guy into, he being a changeling, he transforms his entire self into this new persona called Von Grimm, and he takes revenge on this so-called person. And it goes wrong because he ends up killing this person's little kid instead without knowing. But that's basic generic. But the flip side is like I added more dark things to it. Like I narrated how dark his time before he made this transformation from Weizenmoss into Von Grimm. What was that dark transition? Because that will play out in his game. Like in the game, it will play out. And and again, I fleshed it out to a point where I really went in deep with it. Like when I sent it to Adi, he was like, holy shit. He's like, yeah, I did save one page, but fuck, Machas is solid. I was like, yeah. I was like, I really sat and wrote this character. But I stopped it to a point where I left him because I was like, I don't want too much of thing. Because even if it's homebrew, so Adi's because it's homebrew now, like Weizen Moss's, this is all out of game detail. Like Weizen Moss's books are there in the game, right? They're like well-known books and all. Again, it's easier for him to do because it's his campaign. Of course, doing it in a module, it's doable, but it takes like the DM will have to be like, oh, what would be the NPC's reason for doing it? Oh, okay, let's put something to make this blah, 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 fix the dots. But yeah, coming back to the other point. So basically, Von Grimm right now, the way he is on this ship, suddenly his soul being transported onto this ship, this flying airship, like now just part of the crew, part of the ship, that situation, he's like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what the fuck? Like, I've just turned into this dark personality and now this has happened to me. And now, like, the hell? Okay, I need to take, probably not change my transformation any further, but I'll change the way I talk in front of people. When I'm alone, I'll be me. So that's the kind of dark personality he's become. And he plays like a literal two-faced character when he is around people. But when he's alone or when he's around people who he knows are not related to people he immediately knows, he's a totally different person. And so, yeah. A generic story can work also if you, flavor it a little more.
Exactly. So, I mean, like, you can keep it as generic as you want. But what, like Con said, as you guys keep playing together as a party, things develop, stories develop. Like for example, again, Curse of Strahd. So when they initially started playing, we had a player who couldn't unfortunately start with us because he had some health issues, so he couldn't begin with us. But I already made his character, who was a paladin. So I already told him at the end of, like, when you guys hit level 3, your paladin is going to get killed. He's like, no problem, I'll make a new character. I'm like, great. But then, for me, I took that paladin and turned him into a villain. Now, I didn't think this guy would become a huge part of this narrative. But when I created him and I brought him to a fight, my players hated him. They wanted nothing more than to kill this motherfucker. And I was like, holy shit. I have created a villain for my party. And the storyline I was able to build with him along with Strahd, and it was amazing. Because remember, at the end of the day, I am not the storyteller. I am just the engine. The players are the storytellers. You guys dictate the narrative. What happens in the game only happens because you guys do things. I am just there to make sure that you're following the rules.
Yeah.
That's how I play my games. I'm like, I'm not here to tell you a story. I'm here to facilitate you guys telling the story. So it's like it's just like, again, roleplay is it's important. Don't get me wrong. Roleplay is a very important part of D&D. But it's not. You don't have to be that. I will use every accent in my arsenal to do it. No, like we mentioned, just play the character.
Yeah.
Have
just
fun.
play the character.
Have fun. But see, at the end of the day, also, see, when you're playing D&D, it also comes down to you respecting the other players at your table. It's always about communication at the end of the day. Like I mentioned before, some people have social anxiety. They don't know how to speak within a group. But that's okay. Take your time. There are moments where you will come out of your shell and be like, yes, I will now put on an accent. I will be a posh British man, or I'll be a dirty Russian motherfucker. Whatever you want. Just do whatever you like. Have fun with it. But do not do things at the cost of other people's fun. Respect other people are at the table. Especially respect your dungeon master, because he can just say, get the fuck out of my game, and you're out.
Yeah.
But communication is very important. And also just be true to yourself and be true to your character. Have fun. You want to do something in game? Do it. However, be mindful of the consequences. I'm gonna rob this guy. I'm like, okay, roll sleight of hand to see if you're robbing. You roll amazingly high, fantastic. You get to steal 20 gold off them, which is great. You're 20 gold richer, fantastic. You roll low, they catch you. You're in a fight, and at level 1. Not the smartest thing to do. Because most of the NPCs, or sorry, non-player characters, for those of you not familiar with gaming terms, most NPCs are stronger than you. They will probably instantly kill you in one turn. So, I'm like, again, you made the choice. The DM's like, sure, you are more than welcome to try. And you do well, fantastic. You do badly, you could be your character could die, go to jail, or you just no longer have you're no longer having fun because the DM fucked you. It's like, dude, come on, man. There's consequences to shit you're doing. You don't get you don't just get away scot-free. No. Think, consider, and if you have questions, ask.
Yes. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't be worried. Ask.
Yeah.
Always ask when you have a doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Always ask.
And no one's gonna make fun of you for it either.
Yeah.
Because
always ask.
Because at the end of the day, sometimes even the DM's like, ooh, I probably need to look that up.
Yeah.
Because I don't have all the rules memorized.
It's very hard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to just put little light on that, so that it would emphasize even more on the fact that you're constantly learning on D&D is like to think about people who've been playing tabletop games like this from the inception of tabletop gaming till now. They have to go back to whatever books they have or whatever version or edition of the game they're playing at the moment, because they might have so much of wisdom and knowledge over the years of playing. Yes, they do. But sometimes in the moment, you can forget.
Oh, yeah.
You will forget. Many times you will forget. And that's why, thankfully, there is material accessible. And now that D&D is suddenly hit the surface finally, the platform online is mad.
Yeah. And also, okay, let's be clear about something. Dungeons and Dragons is a commitment. Without question.
True.
Without question.
Without question.
If you cannot commit the time to not play
Yeah.
D&D.
And I think people need to know the reason behind that. The reason behind that is because you are given a quest, okay? Whatever campaign it is, whether if it's not like maybe it's a campaign that could be finished within a session, or if it's a full-fledged, like proper big-ass campaign that could go on either for months or maybe even years if you take it at a really slow pace. The whole thing is that you can't, you don't know when you're going to finish your game, right?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, am I wrong there?
No,
To-
you never
to-
know. You never know.
Yeah, I don't think we ever know. Like, even as the DM, a DM cannot give, like, say if someone, like, if I put out a post, hey, I'm going to host a game, and people like message me, I'm like, can I join? And like, if someone asks, so how long will it take to finish it? My answer is immediately, I don't know, because
I
you
hate that
can
question.
never, yeah, you can never know, and I don't blame people for asking. Because a lot of game formats, okay, whether if it's in the video game format on a computer or platforms like that, like digital platform, tabletop platform, whatever it is, 90% of them have in-game insight, right? It comes with the, okay, this is how it works. You have so much of playtime within it. This is the end game. Of course, post that you can play. But in D&D, they just give you this book here, campaign book, story overview. Okay, these are all the people you need to know. This is the government that, blah 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 blah. This is basically everything's outlined there for you. The skeleton of the world you're going to be putting your players in is there. Here you go, Mr. DM. Have fun. Hope you guys have a good game. Right, that's all they give you. They don't tell you, yeah, it's going to take you 3 days to finish this game. No. So that's the reason you need, when you join a game, like, or if you're asking to join, especially if you're like, really interested in asking to join a game, remember, commit. Like, you need to commit. And again, people sit down and discuss those things before a game. So don't think, oh my god, that's going to, no. First, talk to the people, meet with the table, see if it's working. If it's not, fine, find another one.
Yeah. No, because like for me, so when I say I'm running a campaign and people are interested in joining, I'm like, okay, so first of all, we all agree on a day. Scheduling is the bane of D&D. Okay.
Yeah.
Scheduling is the worst thing on the planet when it comes to playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons. But anyway, that's aside. I always tell them, I will need you guys to commit to once a week, if possible. But I want you to commit minimum of 3 hours every week to D&D.
Yeah.
If you can give me that promise, you're in. If you can't, then I'm sorry. I'm not the DM for you.
Yeah.
Because what you think is fast is not. I've had a combat encounter go for 2 hours.
Man, we to take Curse of Strahd example, us planning to jump over that wall.
Yeah.
Fucking 1 hour, 20 minutes that was.
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah, in real time.
In-game time.
Yeah, in game time, it was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But for them to plan this whole thing took an hour to do. And so that's the thing. Like, a game moves as fast as the players do. Again, it's not up to the DM to push you in any direction. You guys decide what you're going to do. We're just there to make sure that you follow the rules. Or if you or like so say I want to climb that wall. I'm like, give me an athletics check. And you fail the athletics check, you fall down, you go halfway up the wall, you fall down, you take some damage. But the thing is, like, I am not going to expedite your process. You guys have a plan. I am going to let you, play your plan out. If it fucks up, well, shit. But I cannot tell you how long a game is going to be. In fact, in the moment you ask me that question, I immediately go, you can't play at my table. Yeah. Because that just means you just want to fiddle around and then fuck off. I'm like, no, I need you to commit. If you're playing my games, I want a commitment of time. Because one, I think you'll have a great time. And two, it's something for you guys to do and have fun. You know, have a good time. Like it's your moment for you to let loose, let your imagination run wild, and have some fun. Because there's nothing worse than someone who's on the clock. He's like, yo, I gotta be done in half an hour. I'm like, no. This fight could take another 3 hours. What are you gonna do then? You know, I've had whole episodes, like whole sessions, where players are just shopping.
Yeah.
Just shopping.
You don't know what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, 3 hours of players just walking around town, talking to NPCs, buying stuff, trying on clothes. They might do some shit. They might go to a bathhouse and chill. You know.
Oh man, I just got out of that mind frame little while back only, Paul, because I was prepping for you guys for tomorrow, and I was sitting there, I was like, oh, they're in the fucking undercellar. Oh god, of all the places, these chaotic people had to go here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
So
I mean,
like I was like, I know they're going to like look at this and probably want to do this. Okay, let's be
Yeah.
prepared. Let's be prepared. But knowing that they might not just like, who knows, suddenly if they go there tomorrow, they don't like, they might just turn away in a second.
Yeah.
And all my prep for that like would have gone poof. But that's DM. Like
Yeah.
as a game master or dungeon master, you have to be prepared for your players to do anything. That you get into to being a game master knowing that very well.
Okay.
Unless if you are listening and you don't, well, you clearly have to rethink about being a DM.
Okay. Let me just like Adi said, you always pick an NPC who seems most interesting in the moment. Curse of Strahd. I brought out
Yes.
a random encounter NPC.
You have, and before this goes any further, you have no one else but yourself to blame. Go on.
Okay. So it's a random encounter NPC that happens while the players are on the road. He was odd. He was odd to say the least. Don't get me wrong, it was bizarre as fuck. But my players would not let it go. They spent a whole session just trying to fuck with this dude. And in my head, I'm screaming. I'm like, I had so many things planned for this session. None of it's getting done. None of it. I'm like, well, there goes all my prep, threw it out the fucking window. But that's one thing you learn as a DM. You can never prepare for your session. You have an idea,
Yeah, you have.
but be prepared to throw that entire thing out the fucking window.
Yep.
Oh man. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was hilarious. The session was amazingly funny. But I really wanted them to get a move on, you know, but then I can't force them to do anything because they have to make the decisions. Like, listen, we're gonna go. I'm like, aye, cool, great, we get to move the story along. So the reason I'm bringing this up again is the fact that I cannot give you a definitive time how long this is gonna take.
Yeah.
A campaign could be 6 months. A campaign could be a day. Oh, sorry, one session. A campaign could be 2 years. I was in a campaign for a year, and we only hit level 9. Level 20 is max, by the way. We only hit level 9. There was so much more to go. But the reason we stopped playing is because it got a little weird as to how to continue the storylines with all these new characters. A lot of people died, or other people just retired some characters here and there. So it was really weird to keep the narrative going. But I played that campaign for a whole year, and it was amazing. I now have friends. People I've never met before. We've never seen each other before. We just speak in game time every Saturday at night. At least night for me. And we play. And we're friends now. 3 of them are from America. 1 guy's from Sweden. 1 guy's Irish. And then there's me. And it's just like, whoa. He's not just Irish, he's from Ireland. Sorry, let me be clear about that. But that's the thing, like it brings D&D brings so many different kinds of people from so many different walks of life and different philosophies and belief systems and all that stuff together to just play a game together and tell a story and have a good time doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this. Why I love this game so much. Because there are there are a lot of emotional moments. Like last week's session for Storm King's Thunder, one of our players contracted the lycanthropy curse, and none of them know enough about their characters rather. The players, of course, they fucking know. But the characters don't know enough about lycanthropy because werewolves are not common from their various backgrounds. So the character who got bit by a werewolf, I told him the day before the session, like, this is what's happening. This could go sideways very quickly, unless of course the other players do something and figure it out. And the entire time we're playing, the guy who got bit was chain smoking the entire time. He was stressed out because this is a character that he didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
But the dice dictated as such the fact that that is an extremely likely possibility. But my players, being my players, came up with something amazing which I didn't even think of. And I was blown away. They saved the character. And it was super emotional to the point where we paused the game for like 10 minutes just so everyone could just calm down. But the emotions we all felt were real. And it was amazing. I was stressed out. Conrad was stressed out. Adi started crying. It was amazing. Like, this is why we do this. This is why we play. For these kinds of movements.
Yeah.
It's and the thing is, like, you will never get these moments unless you take that time and play through.
Yeah, none of us planned for that to happen.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Like, none of it, that's the whole thing. So many of the stories, like, they write themselves, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have so many stories.
You need to play.
Yeah.
You need to play.
Yeah. And when you play, and then, like, you get these emotions happening. I still remember the final send-off I gave for Luna. When a character died, I gave I don't want to brag, but a rather emotional send-off for her. And Con was extremely moved. And I was like, fuck, I did that. And he felt it. The emotions were real.
I still feel it, man.
Yeah.
That scene, because I played the scene in my head, right? Like, that's good storytelling, and that's us building a story together as like a party, like, to that moment. Fuck.
You know, it leads to so much amazingness that can happen.
Yeah. And
the thing is, like, sure, like I said, if first time players, we're talking about all the shit happening right now. Remember, like, we're quote unquote veterans at this point. But the thing is, like, even we were you at one point. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what was the correct way to do things. Like, am I supposed to do this here? Like, I don't know my character. Like, I don't understand exactly what this means. It's okay. Sit down with your DM. Because, okay, see, at the end of the day, without players, what is a dungeon master? What are we going to do if we don't have a player?
What is D&D without players?
Without
dude?
players, man.
I mean, yeah.
It's theatrics. It's imagination. It's so beautiful. And the thing is, like, like you can watch whatever you want, be it Critical Role, be it High Rollers, be it whatever the D&D show that you watch.
Man, I'm forgetting there's another nice show also, and I'm forgetting it. But yeah, there are so many nowadays. I mean, like I said earlier, D&D's hit the surface finally. So
Yeah. Oh, but by the way,
can't say
fuck
there's
Stranger
nothing
Things.
out there.
Fuck Stranger Things.
Man, that module keeps popping up. Also,
Yeah, I'm like, fuck off, Stranger Things. You are not D&D. Fuck off. But I mean, either way, my point is the fact that everyone is welcome, and you learn as you play. You get better as you play. You start role playing more. You start doing accents. Well, like, for example, like my first character, what's his face? Drake. He's a Dragonborn monk. I wanted to play him because I wanted to fucking punch and kick shit. That was my idea for him. I want to play a kung fu master. Yes, please. But then as I played him and I spoke with my DM was like, listen, let's do something a little more interesting with him. I'm like, okay, I'm open to suggestions because I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you. He's like, so how about this? I'm like, okay, that could be cool. How should I? So I had to think about his character and how he would play in the world. But again, like I didn't role play him. Like I don't know how to voice a Dragonborn, a freaking 6 foot tall, scaled dude who's wearing robes, like monk robes, and punches and kicks people. I'm like, how do you role play that guy? But as time went on, I got into the character. I'm someone who has patience, someone who really wants to help people out, because I've been at the butt end of cruelty, and I would like to shed some light on the world. Yes, I'm sharing unpopular opinions. Of course I am. Because I'm a fucking edgelord, apparently. I don't know. But it's the fact that like no one gets it perfect the first time. Try. Attempt. You can try an accent and maybe it won't work. It's okay. Because at the end of the day, the players at the table will just go, we hear it nonetheless. We hear the accent. Even though you're not speaking it, we hear it. Like, for example, like after a point, I run out of accents for my NPCs. But everyone knows that my NPCs are unique to themselves.
Yeah.
Because sometimes even I forget what fucking accent I gave them the last time. I'm like, wait, what did I use? Fuck, I don't remember. Shit.
It happens to everyone.
Yeah. So I'm like, don't be afraid. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not saying be fearless. I'm just saying don't be afraid. Try shit. Have fun. Because if you're not having fun, then why are you playing, man?
Very true. Very true.
Like recently, I had a game full of newbies. So I ran Lost Mines of Phandelver, which is a fantastic beginner game to play. It takes you from levels 1 to 5, and it teaches the players as to how to do things, how to play through the game. Like, what's intelligence check? How does combat work? What are the quests you have to do, and what quests get you, and all that good stuff. They died at the final dungeon. I had a TPK, or a total party kill. It was super bumming for me. But at the end of it, it was like, they were like, this was so much fun. This was so much fun. Let's do this again. And I'm like, you guys just died and you want to do this again? Let's go. But that's what I mean though, despite the fact that they came to an untimely demise, they had a great time getting to that point. Because they're role playing. All the characters are doing strange things, and they have strange quirks and strange behaviors. And initially, not everybody is very good at it. They're like, okay, I'm like, yeah, I think I know how to do all. No. They got it working, and it's amazing. It was so cool to see them have a good time doing stuff. Again, like I said, we had a whole session where they're just walking around town, talking to different NPCs. Some people, of course, insulted certain NPCs, and they got very standoffish. But then all of that's happening off the cuff. I don't plan these things. Players do these things, and I have to react to them. The DM's role is extremely reactionary. The players take the initiative, and we have to react to what they're doing. Like sometimes,
That's a very good point.
And sometimes, like for example, Con comes up with a cockamamie plan. Could be the most ridiculous thing on the planet. What do I have to do? I have to figure out how to make it work. Which is not easy to do. I'm like,
But it's fun.
yeah, it's super fun. Hey, for you. For me, I'm just like,
No, I'm saying like from the DM's point also, like at one point you're like, ah shit, is he really gonna do this? But then the more you start building it with them, with the player, it gets even more fun for you, because then you feel what they're trying to do, and then you get into, say if it's an NPC they're trying to like befriend, which you didn't expect to happen, and you didn't expect to like, think about shit for this NPC. Maybe like on the fly you just start getting into character, and then it's fun.
yeah.
Turns into fun.
But so being compared to the whole reactionary thing, so Con can come up with a cockamamie plan. I have to figure out if it is within the rules to allow this to happen. Like I will never tell you. I will never say outright no. My favorite line in D&D is, "You can certainly try." And whenever, as a DM, whenever I tell a player that, immediately they think twice before they do something, which is good, because I mean, impulsive behavior is okay, but the last thing I want a player to do is threaten the lives of the rest of the party. For example, again in Phandelver, our wizard just rushed into a room without looking. Next thing I know, they're in a fight for their lives. And I'm just like, Like, did you not consider everyone else's, perspective of the situation? So then I have to react to the fact that, well, fuck, he's done it. Now I've got to do this because he did that. Or if you come up with a plan, I'm like, okay, let's see. What do they have to do? So they want to do X, Y, and Z. To do X, they must make these two checks to be successful. If those two checks are successful, then we look at Y. So when Y happens, what's the situation there? Okay, and then Z, finale. We're like, great, it came through. And the worst part is, you could have the most amazing, airtight plan. We're like, yes. Even I'll be like, oh fuck, that's a fantastic plan. I would love to see it happen. Now remember, as DMs, we do not want to kill you. That is the biggest misconception. As a dungeon master, we don't want to kill you. Because if you're dead, we don't have a game. We are on your side. We want you to win.
Don't get yourself kicked.
Yeah, I mean, like most of the time,
there's a difference.
Yeah, most time players get killed because they just make really bad decisions.
Yeah.
That, or I get very lucky on my attack rolls. I get extremely lucky on my attack rolls. But that's the thing though, right? It's just the fact that, like, the most amazing plan, it could be airtight as fuck. It all falls apart the moment the dice are thrown.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to tell me that twice.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some amazing plans on my day. I've heard amazing plans for encounters. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm going to do this, you do that. And then I'm like, okay, fuck. They're thinking about things, they're strategizing. This is amazing. Let's go. Roll the dice. Initiatives. They've all got the worst initiatives on the roll. Well, I'm like, huh. Well, maybe you should have done that before you caused the situation to happen. Maybe you should have prepared your location. You could have done that. No, because as a DM, like things like I am not going to directly counter your plans. No, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that. That's so dickish. Because I know everything. I know what the monsters can do. I
Yeah,
know your
yeah.
plans.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'm going to do is try and fuck you
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I'm like, I want to see your plan work. But if you roll a low initiative and the enemy's initiatives are much higher than yours and they go earlier in the turn, they bypass your entire plan. And then your entire plan is thrown in disarray. And you're just like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do now. I guess I'm going to die. But, you know, it's stuff like that. It's moments like that. Like even in Stop King's Thunder, there was a moment they're in Fire Shear. And an ice giant ship showed up. They killed a bunch of giants. There are still 14 giants left for them to kill. What did these guys do? I'm like, so this is a mining town. There's a mine shaft back there. One of them goes, is there gunpowder here? And I'm like, make an intelligence check. They rolled intelligence and they rolled beautifully. And I was like, yeah. So you would know as that, you know, people like digging can only get you so far. They employ gunpowder to make depot holes or break down a rock wall or something. They've reached bedrock and they need to go further deep in. So they would use explosives or controlled explosives to break down the wall so they could go further into the mine. So I was like, yeah. So gunpowder is prevalent in the area. We could probably find some. So they're like, okay, we like to look for some gunpowder. I'm like, cool. Roll an investigation check. They rolled an investigation check. They rolled a nat 20, which is the highest roll you can get on a d20 dice, obviously, because it's nat 20. They rolled super high, and I have to roll them. You guys find 10 barrels of gunpowder, and they were like, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to set up at the mouth of the mine, and we're going to set up traps along the way to the mine. They're like, so how far is the mine from that? So the mine is on top of a hill, on top of a hill, which then goes deep into the mine. So like, what is the incline of that? I'm like, the incline is about 100-meter incline. And it's not a steep incline, so it's a nice, easy incline. They're like, is there snow around? I'm like, yes, there is snow around. So they're like, we're going to pack these barrels as such, these barrels of gunpowder, in a way that to the giants walking towards them, they won't see the barrels, but from the back, they can see the barrels. I'm like, this is super cool. So in my head, I had to come up with, I'm like, okay, what does one barrel of gunpowder do in terms of damage when exploded? I was like, this much. I'm like, they're putting 3 barrels at key locations, and when the giants come walking up, blow them up and kill all the giants. I'm like, this is an amazing plan. And they followed through. They took turns. I had them all roll initiatives. The giants would move on their turn with their full movement, and then the players would go, what mark are they? They're at, I'm like, they're at this mark. They're like, fire at the barrel. Explosion. Mega fuck ton of damage. But the giants keep coming. And at the end of it, they managed to kill every single giant with that plan. And I was like, that is amazing. I wanted that plan to work because it was so good the way they thought it out. This is what I want for my players. I don't expect this right off the bat. Do not get me wrong. I don't expect you guys to do this. Any new players listening out there, I am not expecting you guys to come up with these amazing plans right out the gate. This is something you guys figure out as you play. But remember, these things are possible. I will never tell you that you can't do this. Unless it breaks the rules, you are well within your right to do whatever the fuck you want. And that was amazing. I loved every minute of what they did. I was like, my monsters are dying. This is awesome. They're getting hit for 78 damage. Holy crap, they're just getting decimated. This is so cool. And the imagery of 14, 18-foot tall giant creatures walking towards you as they are being hit by shrapnel and explosions of fire as all their skin is burning as rocks and other material like splinters are piercing through their skin as they are trying very hard to get to you to kill you. And as a final giant arrives at your feet, right next to you, he drops to his knees and collapses in the snow, no longer breathing. And all of them were like, "Fuck! This is so cool!" And I was like, "This is so amazing." I'm like, "This is what I live for. This is why I love being a DM. I much rather be a DM than a player, honestly, because I get to watch this happen, and it is so cool. When people come up with some wacky ideas, and I have to make it work."
Yeah.
And when it works,
Amazing.
it's amazing. So good.
Like, another cool thing is that, like, this party we've played together for a while now. So we are apart from our characters, like whether the characters get along or not is regardless, but we kind of like we vibe with each other as well, like at the table, and that just built over time.
Yeah.
Just playing 2 campaigns together, rather dying like gloriously in battle through the first campaign, and then starting off this one. So yeah, even that idea I think is something. It's just because we were all together for so long is that plan went out really smooth also.
Yeah, I mean, because like plans will fall apart, and you gotta be ready for that.
Yeah.
It's like not everything works out, man.
Yeah.
Like players can destroy all my plans in 1 second. With one good fireball, an entire combat encounter is over.
I mean, you and Adi did that in last week's Descent into Avernus game. Like, yeah. Lucal threw a bunch of grease and Shiro fucking threw a firebolt at it.
And it lit on fire and killed them all.
It just burned.
Yeah.
It burnt those guys down. I was like, yep, didn't see it coming, but fucking amazing. Oh shit, but wait, this NPC, the guy who owns place, not gonna like it. Okay, let's get into his character for a second.
Yeah.
And then see, like, there are so many cool things that happen as a DM's front also. And it's interesting when players do something that impact you as a DM. As a DM, you have to be like, oh shit, they did that. Oh fuck, they failed that. Oh no, I have to do this. Oh, whatever the situation is. Yeah, that's so true.
I still remember, what was it? Yeah, so in the homebrew game that I play in, we were in an underground crypt, and I'm playing a paladin. Now my paladin hates, like with a roaring, unquenchable anger and hate for undead. Okay, so we're in this crypt, and I go, DM, I would like to use my divine sense to see if I can sense any undead or whatever around me. He's like, yes, from that coffin over there, you gain a sense of an undead presence. I'm like, okay, I walk up to the coffin and I knock on the coffin. He describes this sweet old lady, and she's a ghost. Peeks her head out the coffin and goes, "Oh, hello there, dearie." I immediately go, I hit her with my sword, with my magical sword. And he's like, what? I'm like, I hit her with a magical sword. He's like, okay, roll to hit. I rolled a nat 20. I'm like, I'm throwing a divine smite on this. I hit that ghost for 98 damage. That was 5 times her health. And he was like, well, there goes that NPC sheet. And he just deleted her sheet. And he's like, well, fuck. And I'm like, what do you... Even the players at the table were like, dude, not cool. I'm like, she's a fucking ghost, man.
Yeah, of course your paladin character is gonna fucking, like, not gonna be cool with this ghost.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking smite that ghost. Fuck that, dude. Smite that bitch. But then it's just the fact that, and he was like, well, she was gonna help you. Oh, fuck. Man. Okay, guess she's dead.
Again, what you described just now is a good example of showing what roleplay is without having to doing the generic this weird stereotype concept of it being like you have to do voice and stuff. No, you just making that move of just telling her, hey, I attack her.
Yeah.
Straight and up. That is just you role playing the character. That's role play. That's role playing.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, my dude hates undead. If he sees undead, he's going to smite them.
Paul would have fucking loved that fucking ghost, cute old lady.
Mm,
He would have fucking had a good chat with her.
100%. I'd be like,
Like,
oh, cute old lady. No,
yeah,
I have to smite her.
Character has to fucking smite her, and you did that, and that's freaking role playing. Like,
Yeah. I
that's
mean, I
it,
felt
that-
bad. Don't get me wrong, I felt bad about it.
You will feel bad, yeah, but yeah.
No, because I felt bad also because Steve was like, oh. I'm like, oh, god damn it. Don't do that to me, man. Come on. And the thing is, like, even Steve knows that my character fucking hates the undead.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, she shows up, and I was like, I smite her. He's like, well, shit. I felt bad, but my character did it. He's like, yes, I fucking hate the undead. I will smite them. Like, for example, Khan's character, Zerja. She hates orcs. For good reason. She has a backstory reason for it. But she fucking hates orcs.
Yeah,
So and the thing is, like, even if she meets a half orc, she's still going to be like, you know.
yeah.
But that's just the way it is, man. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that makes it interesting, makes your character interesting.
That's what makes you playing D&D and not just playing another game. That's what makes you playing
Yeah.
D&D.
And
Or a role-playing tabletop game. That's what it's about.
exactly. I mean, like, consider any of your video games, be it Mass Effect or be it God of War. Imagine that game, but slower, and it's all in the imagination.
Yeah.
As Kratos, I throw my axe. Kratos will have extra attack. So first attack, he swings and knocks a guy out of his way. Second attack, he throws his axe and it goes in and lodges it into the enemy. Bonus action, retract axe. You know? So while in a video game that happened in a matter of 2 seconds, in D&D that would take a minute for you to describe what's happening. But it doesn't mean that the imagination is lost in the fight. You're still seeing Kratos cleaving through enemies, just absolutely going batshit crazy on an enemy.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
I was
like just imagine that whole combat situation, but just slower. There's a turn order that takes you time. Like a combat encounter, say it takes 10 rounds, which to play out could take an hour to do. But in game time, that fight took a minute. That was it.
Yeah.
A minute has passed in game time. So you're just like, oh, well, shit, cool, carry on with that day. It's early morning, you get into a fight, it goes 10 rounds. Minute later, you're walking back on the road while the enemy's corpses are behind them. As you pick their corpses for their loot. But for you, as a player, an hour has passed of your day. So it comes back to the fact that I hate it when people say, how long is this going to take? It's like, fuck off. Get the fuck out of my game. You know? And I have no qualms about kicking people out of my games.
Yeah.
Do not be a nuisance. Do not be a problem player.
Yeah.
If you have doubts, ask. Asking doubts is not a problem. Because I want you to learn. And sometimes you might do something that I have to learn from. We teach and you teach back. And it's awesome that way.
Yeah.
We grow as players, we grow as humans also. Because the fact that at the end of the day, like someone like Shiv, for example, I would never have met him if not for D&D.
True.
Like, not a way, no chance in hell. And it's super cool. Like, I would, like, also, guys, I know this, I'd be going for an hour and 20, I know. My point is, at the end of the day, if any of you would like to be on this podcast, hit us up. Let us know. I would love to have guests on. I would love to have guests on. Because, I would love to have more people's opinions. I would love to have more players. And okay, so the splash art you're seeing right now on the stream, we're gonna get that redone. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a
Lot of free
placeholder.
marketing to do, guys.
Yeah,
So
we got a lot of marketing to do. This is the first time we're doing
that.
this. Yeah, first time we're doing this. Prissy Dilly, who's in chat, she is a good friend of ours, and she has been part of our games. She is a phenomenal artist. Do check out her stuff on Instagram. We will be getting her to make splash art for us. And of course, Prissy, if you want to plug yourself right now, you are more than welcome to do so in chat. Everyone hit her up for artwork, anything you'd like to do. My boy Conrad here is a musician. The track you're hearing in the back of the stream was created by him. If you guys have D&D games that you're playing in real life or on Roll20 or on Fantasy Grounds or any other, tabletop that you choose, any virtual tabletop that you would like to play on, hit him up. He can make tracks for you. Please feel free to hit him up at all times. You can hit him up at his Instagram, which is there on the stream right there, at InstaNoobConnor. Hit him up there and you can always talk to him there. You can also check out Conrad's stream at twitch.tv/ConnorBoy24. Go and watch his streams. He does a lot of sim racing. He and I play together once in a while, lots of different other stuff. Do check out all these people's respective socials and their respective channels. Show love, show support. And anything else you want to add, Con?
Let's play some D&D.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, yeah.
Until next time, guys, roll for initiative, and we will see you on the tabletop. From us to you guys, until next time, peace out.